Hello, I'm Marshall Pankin, and this is my self-reflection for the portfolio competency portion of the creative presentation class. In the beginning of the course, I do believe that we were asked what we expected from the course, and to be frank, I didn't give it too much thought. Professionally, I was in the Army for 17 years, 15 on active duty. During that time, I was an HR professional, and the way that runs in the Army, I had to give a great many presentations, both verbal presentations as well as multimedia presentations in my personal life as a spoken word artist, a lot of verbal presentation and a little bit of visual there. In other endeavors outside of the Army, especially once I got out and returned to the private sector as a manager of a couple different businesses, there were times that I had to do some kind of presentation. And then artistically helping other people out, again, multimedia presentations, mostly centering on video. Because of those experiences, I've already had nearly 20 years of creating my own routine and my own way of doing things. I've done so many different types of presentation, mostly centered around oral presentation, sometimes with slideshows, videos, things like that worked into it, that so much of what I learned along the way I started losing at some points. This course forced me to knock the dust off of that knowledge, to reacquaint myself with those concepts, in a number of ways reacquainting myself with them from new perspectives. For that, I will always be grateful for this course. My biggest takeaway from the course is to not get so caught up in your own vision and idea of what it is that you want to do, that you fail to understand how your idea might be received by your preferred or chosen audience. So often we will say or present things in a certain manner, and then when we do not get the response that we want, we sit there confounded, wondering why, without actually taking ourselves out of the proverbial equation, putting ourselves in the position of the audience, trying to put ourselves in that mindset and understanding what might appeal to them, what might draw them to or have them shy away from whatever it is that we're trying to show, present, or talk about. This course reminded me about the importance of things that, again, I already knew and in some cases took for granted, such as doing my due diligence, doing my research on my chosen audience, finding out what they actually respond to. I don't know exactly what I would do differently. I know that if I could go back to day one of the course, and if the rules and guidelines for the class and the assignments allowed for it, I would like to reach out to some of my classmates, find out which ones might already have some experience in graphic design, find out which ones might already have some experience in sound production and editing, and combine those with my own efforts, so as to really, for each of us to really be able to put together a well-produced final product that is our own individually, but draws on different strengths like some of us will have to do when we enter the industry after graduation from Full Sail. I like to think that I met all of the class requirements as best as I can. I like to think that I met all the class requirements to the best of my ability, from taking the feedback from the instructor to taking feedback from other students, giving hopefully positive and constructive feedback using the RISE model with these other students, with my classmates. I like to think that I met all the requirements. I'm especially proud of, again, not to sound like a broken record, but of not being so stuck in all my years of doing presentation, not be so stuck in those mindsets that led to me forgetting so many things I learned along the way that this class reminded me of. So I'm proud of myself for not being so stuck in that, and at times actually reminding myself I wouldn't have come to school for this if I really was that tight on my work. Just a little dose of humility I try to give myself every time I get frustrated with stuff. Going into my remaining classes in the digital cinematography program, I do think that this class laid the foundation for a lot of things that I'm going to need to be able to do. Both thinking outside the proverbial box of what I'm used to, as well as actually taking a logical, practical, targeted approach towards identifying my audience, figuring out what my audience responds to, and tailoring my product, tailoring my assignment, my project, what have you, to that for maximum effect, for the best possible storytelling, while also being clear and concise. I do believe that picking up on those things in this class is going to help me with that going forward. One of my faults, if it were, in terms of my attempts to do this sort of thing before Full Sail, is that I do tend to start off with a simple concept and then it balloons into this huge, complicated monstrosity that I can't always, or I haven't always before been able to whittle down to get to where I need, trimming the fat, so to speak. And this class really brought that back home for me in a positive and constructive way. And I really think that that's going to help me not just in completing the courses in my degree program, but also going forward as I do this professionally.